What's going on, guys? Sam Commenti here for KRCR Channel 7 News alongside a candidate for council, city council here in Reading, Joshua Johnson. Josh,
hey.
First off, hi. Good to see you. Nice to finally meet you.
You as well, Sam.
We're outside of Josh's beautiful new home here. What part of town are we at here, Josh?
This is South Reading. It's on the west side, right off of 273.
New development that Josh's company is putting together.
Yeah, that's right. There's 21 homes we're going to be building in here. Right now we have about 8 going. I live in the neighborhood. We actually designed this neighborhood because we wanted to live in a place that had large front porches and had housing for, my in-laws and my parents to come visit, and we had enough room for them. But then, it'd be a place where we can raise our kids, and that's why we built it. So it's unique. It's we're farmhouse design, so a little bit different for Reading, but we love it.
Well, in these interviews that we're going to do, and again, make sure to stay tuned for more. Meet the candidates that we have coming. I tell the candidates that I want to meet them somewhere that they feel at home, they feel comfortable. I don't think we can get more at home than literally your
true.
Front porch.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it, Josh. I know you're a busy guy. First question, it's a simple one. It's the softball of these questions. Just tell me about you, your background, your ties to Reading. We know that you're a developer. Exactly your title, but go ahead and tell.
Yeah, well, my ties to Reading are in the last 8 years we've lived here. I'm a California boy originally, born in Riverside, California. I moved to the Midwest when I was preteen, and got some of those Midwest values. Went to college in Oklahoma, got a degree in government and international relations. Didn't use that degree for 20 plus years. Decided to be an entrepreneur and started a tech company in Ohio, and then building tech. We built mobile and web apps for companies kind of like the Silicon Valley tech startup world. And when we moved to Reading 8 years ago, I knew I wanted to have a transition and start moving away from the tech world and into building things that I can be proud of in a way that I can influence and impact the way people lived in my city. And I really felt a connection with Reading. We felt like we wanted to move back out west, and Reading had the values and the type of people that we knew that we could run with here and have a big impact on a place that we really fell in love with. So we started sowing our seeds and sowing our oats, whatever you want to call it, and
whatever the phrase is,
and bought some land. And it's a long road to developing. Being a small developer is not easy. It's really difficult. Construction's not easy, all the things, right? But it's been such a great, worthwhile journey, and I feel like we've been able to really get to know the community in a real way because of the way that we've been invested. But before jumping into the development stuff, we were able to get involved with the Startup Reading community and help launch that, and Startup Weekend, which is basically these events and community for young entrepreneurs, which was resources and tools that I really needed to get off the ground and launch my career back when I was in my early 20s. And so seeing those things come to life and thrive here in Reading really solidified this is a place where I want to raise my kids, because they're going to have those same kinds of opportunities and access that I had. And so that we're here. This is home for us. We're not going anywhere. Our kids are loving it. They don't miss, or some of them don't even remember Ohio. So at this point, this is as home as it gets.
No offense to Ohio, but I'm taking California over Ohio every time. Where in Ohio?
We lived in Cleveland and for a little bit, but Cincinnati was mostly that's where we moved from.
Okay.
Back in 2015.
I'm glad you named the 2 places I know in Ohio.
Yeah. You've heard of Columbus.
I think Dayton's in Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay, so the idea to run for city council and be a first-time politician, that's not, as you just told us, it's not your background.
Right.
What influenced that? What made you decide? Was there like a defining moment you were like, I need to get involved?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about what pushed you to do that? Because, like you just said as well, like you have a lot on your plate, man.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that we're in a really important time in our city's history. There's been about 3-4 moments where we saw massive growth as a city since the late 1800s, and we're in one of those once in a generation times. What really motivated me is that the city is is experiencing growth. It's experiencing a lot of positive momentum, and I think the right leadership need to be at the table to face the problems that we have, but we still have work to be done to make this the best version of itself. And what I mean is that I really hope to see Reading become the best version of itself. It's not a destination. A city doesn't arrive. It is constantly in motion. It's constantly developing and evolving. And as generations grow and as they expand and as we're flexing and stretching, we're always going to need the right leadership at the table to continue to make it better. So right now, I really felt like with the things I've experienced working with the city government and multiple departments to get a small development off the ground, to do the downtown project that we did, that could lend itself beneficial with a lot of the conversations and big decisions that are coming forward with the projects that are on the plate in the city, and I just think that it having that experience could be beneficial right now. I don't know if I'll do anything more than the 4 years, but I know that that's what I'm committed to, and I hope that we can have a bench of people that come behind me that would pick up the baton that are also young professionals. I think it's great that we can have some diversity on city council. Yep. Some retirees that have a lot of time on their hands, and some guys that have less time on their hands, like myself, that have a right now experience of what the problems are and where we're feeling pressure points, and that we can get in and kind of see it from those different vantage points. I think all of those perspectives matter.
So you just touched on having diversity on the council, and so far there's 3 candidates. We just had the third one announced. All of you guys are, to my knowledge, I know Alex is 35. Josh, how old are you?
39.
39, and I don't know how old Jordan is, Jordan Valenzuela, but you guys are all 30s and 40s. Mm-hmm. You're young. You're a part of a new generation of people taking over in terms of decision making in Reading. Mm-hmm. How important do you think that is to have youth at a time that we're growing and there's a lot of development? How important is it to have youth?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, we're raising kids here, so I think that's an important element of any thriving communities. We need those that represent the retirees and those that represent the needs of various parts of our city. And I think that someone like myself can listen and hear of those needs and really consider them. I think that that's definitely possible. But we're raising our kids here now, so we're experiencing different types of issues than others would be, and I think that's an important voice that's needed, is that young families and also young professionals can feel like they have someone that's sitting on city council that is understanding those needs, but it doesn't mean that we're not understanding the other needs either, and I don't think that we've been really that underrepresented. I think before us we had Adam McIlvain, we had Brent Weaver. I count them on the younger side of the scale. They were both still working. Julie Winter's still working, but has some flexibility, and I think you have to have some level of flexibility to do this job for the city. So that is an element that's everyone has in common. But I think that the aspect of raising a family or building a business here in Reading, that voice is definitely necessary on council.
You're a developer. It's what you do. Is that your biggest goal and vision for Reading, to continue the development? What does a Joshua Johnson vision look like in Reading?
I mean, this is the stuff I really love. Land development. I love imagining what could be possible in a space, how to make something great, and how to make our city better, just one little project at a time. I mean, take for example the little 7,000 square foot lot across from Woody's that was totally vacant, had a beautiful garden on it one time, but it was pretty much just desolate when we purchased it, and worked with the city for about a year and a half to just really figure out what would be the best use of that space and what could we build there, and ended up designing a couple of buildings that are going to have housing and rooftop decks and some really, really interesting, unique uses that Reading hadn't seen before, and still have we still don't have something quite like it. And I think that's the same down here in South Reading. This is not the typical kind of product you would build here. Normally you build a single story kind of 1,600 square foot stucco box house. we wanted to do something different down here, and so taking a little bit more risk. So I think for me, the projects that really excite me are ones where I can kind of imagine something, better than what the status quo would be. Something that might be a little bit more difficult, but that's the stuff that I'll probably end up doing as long as I'm living here, because it's just a lot of fun. As much as I like to pull my hair out sometimes doing it,
I get it.
But that's how it goes.
Yeah. Relationships. Who you know in the community? You've been here 8 years, you said, right?
Yeah.
So you've obviously built some relationships. You have connections with people. So let's touch on that a little bit. Your relationship. I know you are, know people that are entrepreneurs and other young people that are developing and doing things in this community. But I want to focus on Aaron Resner and the Resners, because Aaron Resner is leaving City Council to take a position on the Board of Supervisors. Am I mistaken in thinking that you have a relationship with Aaron? Aaron is a friend of yours by chance?
Yeah, Aaron and Chris know it. We know each other. Aaron and I really respect her. I really respect her leadership, what she's given to council. Honestly, I would have loved to have worked with her on City Council. But grateful that she's still willing to serve and wanting to just take those talents elsewhere and continue to serve our community. I really think that the collaboration between city and county needs to strengthen, and I think that if there's one thing that I want to see, I think there's a great benefit that that those relationships are there between City Council and the supervisors, because the problems that we experience in Reading are problems for the county, and the problems in the county actually spill over into the city. And so the more we can tear the veils down, the more that we can open doors and sit at the same tables and get our departments and agencies working together, I think that the biggest problems that we have in our community can really be solved. It'll take time, but I think that's the key component. So that's a great example. If Aaron does get elected, and I am fortunate to be elected, I think that those relationships can go a long way.
Your campaign itself, how would you describe your campaign? What you're running, it's a grassroots campaign. How are you funding your campaign?
Yeah.
Your slogan. I haven't found a slogan for you yet that I've seen. So
the slogan.
Enlighten me a little.
Yeah, so the slogan is, slogans are cliche.
No, they are.
They're super cliche. They always.
But everybody loves a cliche.
Yeah, everyone loves a cliche, and it's the same with trademarks and branding and all that kind of stuff. If I was going to do a cliche, it would be building a better Reading now. So I don't think we need to wait. I think now is actually the reason why I'm running. If I thought I could wait, I'd wait till I was 50 to run. And the reason why now is important is because I think it's just critical time that we're in. And I really think that this is the time I want to jump in, because it's needed. We're growing, and we need to grow in a thoughtful way, not in a way that eliminates the past and throws away our history, and not in a way that also is passive. We have to be able to be on offense at the right times and on defense at the right times, and I think that takes the right kind of leadership. So building a better Reading now. If I were to, my campaign is definitely grassroots. It's definitely. This is City Council. So I don't have any big donors.
You got to make sure. You never know, man. Well, you got to announce it anyway. You have to.
And one of the biggest changes. I don't know if your viewers would know this, but there's a big campaign finance change since the last City Council race, which means that you could give a max of $4,900.
So I knew there was a max. I didn't know that.
There is a max now, and so you can't just get these huge big checks anymore, which I think is great for City Council. Honestly, I love that. We're doing events. I've already hosted a few events, and we've already raised some money. I'm very encouraged by where we're at today.
Good. And you've been kind of touching on it a little bit so far, but the biggest issue right now in Reading, there are a lot. We can't act like we can whittle it down to one.
Yeah.
However, that's what I'm going to ask you to do, Joshua, is tell me what you think the biggest issue that's facing the city and this county is at this moment.
Yeah, it's absolutely number one is our unhomed community, homeless community. and how that impacts public safety, and our perception of public safety too, I'll say. And I think those are two things. We have public safety, which is what is the actual crime that's happening, how are we feeling it, and then what is the perception of public safety, which actually impacts our quality of life factors. It affects our happiness levels, all these things that are sometimes difficult to quantify, but they're there. We know they're there. It's like the wind. We can't sometimes see it, but we feel it. And I think these are really important things. I was just meeting with a friend. He pulled me aside. He was like, "How's the campaign going?" I was like, "It's great." He's like, "What are we gonna do with the homeless?" And he said, "My number one issue is homeless, and like the second one is like number 7." It's like, and I said, and I dug into that because I hear these concerns and I feel it. I've been vandaled out here. Before we had moved in here. This used to be a pathway, for a lot of the unhomed community to just walk right through to connect, different parts, because it was vacant for so long. Now that we're out here, we don't have that anymore. But, I know that people have had a lot of, just personal violations of feeling, safe, and I know that to be true. So I think it's just the number one issue. I think, though, we can't not talk about also, besides the homeless and crime in that way, is, we have an issue with domestic violence and, kids that are resorting to drugs and crime at very, very young ages in our county. And I think that, those are things that I know our sheriff's department and I know that our city police are focused on and they're trying to get out ahead of. And I just think we need to look at public safety at a much bigger level, and that's where the collaboration comes in. These solutions there's no Band-Aid. The Band-Aids sound good for a nice little headline, but the real solutions take time, and I don't think we have to recreate the wheel. Some of this is happening, and they're doing very well in certain counties throughout our state, and I think we have the right puzzle pieces that are starting to come into place where we can start to see a real felt change, and where daily we'll actually feel that impact. I definitely want to utilize my platform to help educate as much as I can about the things I'm learning on this issue. And one of the biggest ones is that we're not alone. Reading is not alone in this. So,
well, a sub element of that, talk about homelessness, I guess it's a huge element of it, is mental health.
Yeah.
Mental health avenues in this area, I would say are pretty subpar in terms of what outlets people can go to and things that they can do to help their mental health. It's an issue statewide that is constantly being looked at, and there's different, ways that the governor and the state are trying to fix the mental health crisis that we see in California. Would you think that's something that needs to improve in Reading in order to improve the homelessness? Is focus on mental health?
Well, absolutely, and we're already, and that's where there's we're already doing some of that. I think it's an amplification of it. Right now we have really, I love that we have the CERT programs. I love that we have the MPU, which is Neighborhood Policing Unit. The idea of having a sworn police officer with a social worker who has a case, and they know each of these people by name, the unhomed community, they have a case on them. We have a much greater chance of getting them help and getting them to a place where they can be functioning citizens. Now the collaboration comes in is, as we're developing and growing that program, is to collaborate with the county to help them and to be working with them on a similar program, Shasta County. Like I said, if someone about 3 miles down the road is homeless, they're in the county, and they start walking this way, then they're in the city. So this is a community problem, and that's the thing that it's important for us to say. It's like, well, with any given issue that we face in this city, we have to ask ourselves, what is it that the government can do? What is it that the community can do? And what is it that you can do? And I think that it has to be, it's all of our problem, and it's something that I know a lot of people are facing in different ways. We have community organizations that are doing it. We have Jonathan Anderson that's working really hard on it. We have other organizations that are working really hard. There are these prongs that the county and the city are working with to kind of take a case-by-case approach. And they've done this down in Santa Barbara County. They've done this in other places throughout the state where they're seeing great success rates. And it's not only, the only solution is not just, hey, just ship them out of here. These are people, and many of them, you know, with the right medication, the right mental health, they can be back on their feet.
So that we can shift to something a little bit more uplifting.
Great.
The biggest positive in Reading, the biggest thing that you've seen that's put a smile on your face or given you hope for this community, what would that be?
It's you, Sam.
I'm honored. We'll stop there.
No, it is our people, hands down. It's our people, and it's the momentum that we have. Why? So this is why I wanted to move to a town that was already moving forward, and I felt it when I moved here in 2015. This was a place where I started running into people that were taking risks, that were building small businesses. They were trying to innovate and create. We had artists, we had entrepreneurs, we had, you know, businesses that were on the cusp of tipping forward in a really big way, that are now some of our largest employers, that are growing, fastest growing employers in our area. And we had this kind of, you know, melting pot of interesting, dynamic people. We had, you know, retirees that were here that, you know, created this kind of like great, just small town vibe. We have amazing events like Cool April Nights and the rodeo, which has great, you know, these historical ties. But then we had these new things like, you know, what Startup Reading was doing, and some of the downtown movement and the small, you know, coffee shop culture and some of the things like that I just thought were really, really unique and exciting. So our biggest positives really are our people and the momentum that's happening, and the ways that people are taking risk up here. And we're isolated. I mean, we're 2.5 hours away from the next biggest city, but we're right off the I-5. We have so many things, you know, going for us, and we, you know, at the same time we have problems just like any other city. But I have a lot of hope for our city because of the people that are here. You know, we have great people that can solve these problems. We have you know people that are moving here, remote workers that have chosen Reading because this is the lifestyle that they want, because of the mountains, because of the river, because of mountain biking, because of access to, you know, trails and all these things. I mean, those are the people that are going to take care of this place because they love it for the natural resources and those things. These are the people that are attracted here, not ones that are just trying to suck the resources out of Reading. They're actually trying to give to it. So I think that's really, you know, truly unique about our community.
Joshua, I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me come to your beautiful home and sit here and chat with you.
It was a pleasure to be with you.
Your final thoughts, final comments you want to make so people can ponder over more what Joshua Johnson stands for. What would you like to say?
Yeah, I think we're in a great, you know, time. I think this is a great moment in our city's history. We need the right leadership that can sit at the table and represent the, you know, current you know, momentum that our city is experiencing, and to not roll backwards. You know, we are rolling forward together as a community, and I'm excited about what the future holds. And at the same time, I'm very grateful for where we've come from. So if you want to learn more, go to joshforreading.com, and I hope I can get your vote. Thank you.
Beautiful. Well said. It's like he's done that before. Campaign events. I mean, I'm sure it's probably on your website. What's the next big community type of engaging thing that you have planned? That you can plug right now at the end of this.
Yeah, April 30th, we're going to have kind of a meet and greet gathering at a friend's house. I'm going to promote it on the website here in a little bit. It's at one of the small business owners that I know decided they wanted to host an event for us.
Cool.
And so we wanted to widen it and open it up to those who want to get to know me a little better. And it'll be a great party. Mosley Wines are providing the wine, and Eden Bakeries providing some desserts. So it'll be fun.
God, that does sound fun.
Yeah.
I might have to go, but there's no bias involved. Thanks again, guys, for listening. Joshua Johnson running for Reading City Council. Be sure to like and follow and keep with us as we go through the many more candidates, or I don't know how many more we'll have, but more candidates that come about for public office in Reading.